Hello everyone, in this video we will discover how Single Secretary AI bot transforms a simple chat window into a powerful tool for task management and productivity. So here's what we'll be covering in this session. We'll begin by introducing Single Secretary AI bot and exploring why this chatbot is such a powerful companion for project managers, program managers, business analysts, and anyone who wants to organize their life. You will see how custom GPTs can act as an assistant in your pocket, always ready to help you stay organized. After that, I will walk you through the chatbot interface itself and explain the key features that make it easy to use. We will then move on to the account and login flow, where you'll learn how to create your account, log in, and securely access your personal workspace. Once we are inside, we'll practice creating tasks in seconds with smart defaults. I'll show you how the bot automatically assigns categories, due dates, and labels so you don't waste time on manual details. Then we'll look at how to read and page through your backlog of tasks, applying filters and sorting to find exactly what you need. From there, we will move into execution. You will see how the bot can recommend your top tasks for the day and how to capture ad hoc notes directly into structured tasks, transforming your inbox into a daily plan. We'll also explore how to update tasks, handle blockers, and close the loop by completing work and maintaining a reliable task history. Next, we'll shift into a more strategic perspective. I'll show you how to build analytics and charts that help you review progress, track trends, and identify risks before they escalate. You'll also learn how Single Secretary supports multilingual teams, instantly switching languages while keeping the underlying data model consistent. Finally, we'll discuss safety and governance. I'll explain how the bot handles deletions, why it encourages safer alternatives, and how account removal works across the entire Single ecosystem. By the end of this lesson, you'll not only know how to use Single Secretary, but also how to integrate it into your professional workflow, turning one simple chat window into a complete productivity hub. Let us begin by taking a step back and considering a very simple question. Why do so many of us, even experienced professionals, struggle to stay on top of our tasks? The answer often lies in fragmentation. We scatter our action items across different apps, sticky notes, emails, and spreadsheets, and as a result, we waste precious time switching contexts, chasing updates, and duplicating effort. To address this problem, the bot we are discussing today, called Single Secretary, was created by me and designed with a very specific philosophy in mind: to give you one single chat window where you can manage everything related to your tasks. Now, what makes this approach powerful is not only its simplicity, but also its adaptability. Instead of asking you to learn yet another complicated interface, it allows you to work in the most natural environment possible, a chat. You write what you need to do in plain language, and the system intelligently turns that into structured tasks, complete with categories, labels, and deadlines. In other words, you get the best of both worlds: the flexibility of free text input and the discipline of organized task management. Why might this be useful for project managers, program managers, or business analysts? Because the daily work is not just about writing long plans or managing Gantt charts. It is about dealing with a constant stream of requests, updates, and decisions. A stakeholder sends an urgent email, a developer reports a blocker, a risk emerges in a meeting, and each of these can easily be transformed into a task inside the chat. Within a few seconds, it is captured, categorized, and prioritized, ready to be tracked alongside all the other items. And the value goes beyond simple task capture. Single Secretary can generate analytics, build charts, and even propose what you should focus on today, based on deadlines and priorities. It effectively acts as a personal assistant who not only records what you need to do, but also helps you think strategically about how to approach your workload. Instead of being reactive and overwhelmed, you are supported in making proactive, data-driven decisions about your time and effort. In short, this bot is not just a task list, it is a productivity partner. It helps reduce the noise of multitasking. It centralizes your work into a single coherent system, and it guides you towards better organization and higher efficiency. That is why we are exploring it today, not as a piece of technology for its own sake, but as a tool that can meaningfully transform the way professionals manage complexity in their daily roles. Before we dive into the demonstration, let me briefly explain what GPTs actually are and how they fit into our work as professionals. OpenAI, the company behind this technology, is primarily a research organization. This means that many of the tools, including the GPTs feature, are available for you to test for free. However, the free access does come with very strict limitations. You might be able to try the concepts I'm showing today, but your usage will be capped rather quickly. Now, for those who choose a paid plan, the situation is very different. With a subscription, the limits are much higher, and the GPTs feature becomes a tool you can truly rely on every day. I should clarify, I am not here to promote subscriptions or sell you anything, it's entirely up to you. But I do want to make an important point. In today's AI-driven era, not having a powerful, customizable assistant at your disposal means falling behind. Your competitors, whether they are other companies or even your colleagues, who do adopt these tools will be able to work faster, more effectively, and with higher quality. That is why in this lesson I want to show you a practical example. I have created my own custom GPT bot. In the attachments to this lesson you will find the link so you can explore it yourself. Today we will not focus on the process of building such bots. That will be the subject of a separate lesson. Instead, we will focus on usage. How exactly you can apply a bot like this in your daily work, and how it can significantly boost your performance as a project manager, program manager, or business analyst. Here on the screen, you can see a collection of AI applications based on generative AI that I have developed. And in fact, there are quite a lot of them available on the website. Each one is designed with a different purpose in mind. Some of them focus on professional use, such as business analysis or project management, where they help you write requirements, analyze tasks, or structure work breakdowns. Others are tailored for personal growth and career advancement. For instance, chatbots that can prepare you for interviews or even help you practice learning new languages. But not everything has to be strictly serious. Among these applications, you will also find lighter and more playful tools, such as an excuse generator for work, or small interactive games that show just how flexible this technology can be. The idea is to demonstrate not only the productivity side of AI, but also its ability to bring creativity and fun into our daily routines. In the attachments to this lesson, you will find links to these applications, so I encourage you to check the page aiapps.itbulls.com when you have some time. I am quite sure you will discover both useful and entertaining tools that you would genuinely enjoy using. Some may help you in your professional life. Others may simply make you smile, but together they show the broad spectrum of possibilities that custom GPTs can unlock. Now, let me share my screen and get started with a demonstration. You've heard the theory, but it's always more impactful to see how these ideas work in practice. I will walk you step by step through my custom GPT bot, showing you how it responds to real tasks. As you watch, I encourage you to think about how you might apply the same approach in your own projects and how much time and effort it could save you. And in case you will have any questions, please post your questions below the video and I will be happy to answer. Now let us take a closer look at the interface of the chatbot itself. At first glance, it might appear very simple, a single chat window with just a few buttons. But in reality, it is designed to be both intuitive and functional. One important detail I would like you to notice is the name of the bot at the top of the screen. If you click on it, you will find additional options, including the possibility to leave a review. And I want to emphasize this. Leaving a review is not just a formality. It directly motivates me, as the creator, to continue building new bots and enhancing their functionality. At the same time, it also helps other professionals and students to discover these tools more easily, because reviews are a way to share your experience and guide others towards something that might be useful for them as well. Another practical aspect you should be aware of involves how the bot communicates with the backend. Every time you create or update a task, the bot must send that information securely to the server, where it is stored and processed. By default, you may be asked to confirm this action again and again, which can interrupt the flow of your work. To avoid this, you can once again click on the bot's name, go to the privacy settings, and select the option Always Allow. This setting ensures that the bot can transmit the necessary data automatically, without prompting you each time for approval. In other words, it gives you a much smoother and more seamless user experience. If you keep the setting as it is, you will continue receiving confirmation requests for every operation, and while this may offer you an extra layer of control, it can also slow down your interaction significantly. When we begin working with single secretary, the very first step is always authentication. This is essential because all of your tasks, charts, and analytics need to be tied to a secure account. Without logging in, the system cannot store or recall your data, so we must start by either creating a new account or accessing an existing one. Let me show you how this looks in practice. Suppose you are a brand new user. In the chat, you would type the following command: create account. At this point, the bot will ask you to choose a username and a password. It is best to use your email address as the username, because that ensures uniqueness and makes it easier to remember. For the sake of example, I will just enter test100@scientest.com. For the password, of course, you should select something strong, ideally a combination of letters, numbers, and symbols. I create demo accounts, so I will enter something very primitive and simple like test password. Save your credentials in a secured place in order to access the data from any chat. Once you have done this, the bot will send the request to the backend. You need to confirm sending data once per conversation by selecting this checkbox, and all the next times in this chat you won't be asked for permission to send data. But it looks like there is a defect on OpenAI side. No matter if you select this checkbox or not, you will be asked for permission each time. Not a big deal. I hope it will be fixed soon. And if everything is correct, you will receive a confirmation that the account has been created successfully. From this moment on, your credentials are stored for the duration of the chat session, and you can begin managing tasks immediately. If you will start a new chat with this bot, then you need to log in with your saved credentials. So, let us imagine the second case, when you already have an account and simply need to log in. In the chat, let me open another chat window. You would type login. The bot will then prompt you for your username and password. I will just enter my credentials. test100@sign.com. Password test. GPT is smart enough to understand how to extract login and password, so don't worry about that. We confirm that our data will be sent to IT Bulls. That is my company's API. If you happen to mistype the password, the system will return an error and ask you to try again. This is an important safeguard because it prevents unauthorized access. But what if the problem persists? In that case, you can always contact support through the provided contact, and they will help you resolve the issue. A practical tip here is to store your login and password securely, and whenever possible, reuse the same account across different chat windows. This way, no matter where you are working, at the office, at home, or on a new device, you will still be able to access your tasks and plans instantly, without starting from scratch. Once we have logged in, the real productivity begins. At the heart of Single Secretary lies its ability to transform plain language into structured tasks in just a few seconds. The beauty of this system is that you do not need to overload yourself with details every single time. Instead, the bot applies intelligent defaults, which allow you to capture ideas quickly and refine them later only if needed. Let us take our first example. Imagine you want to prepare a document for an upcoming executive session. In the chat, you would type either one of the suggested digits. For example, if you would type 1, then chat will walk you through the task creation process. If you want to save your time, you can type the whole command, the same way you would ask your secretary to do, or send a message to your subordinate in corporate messenger. Create a task. Prepare stakeholder brief for Q4 roadmap. Immediately, the bot interprets this input and fills in the missing details. By default, the assignee is set to me, the due date is automatically placed 1 week from today, and labels are generated based on the description. In this case, you might see something like Stakeholders Roadmap Q4 Briefing. These labels will simplify the search in the future and tasks analytics. Within moments, the task appears neatly in a table, ready for you to track, update, or prioritize. Notice how quickly a vague thought turns into an actionable item without you doing any manual formatting. But very often, as project managers or business analysts, we face situations where multiple action items emerge at once, for example, when preparing for a meeting. Instead of creating them one by one, single bot allows us to create them in bulk. In the chat, you might write, create 5 tasks, draft agenda, collect risks, update raid log, email John on API, book room. The system then produces all 5 tasks in a single request. Of course, there are limits designed to protect performance and avoid overload. You can create up to 20 tasks at once, and there is also daily limit. Along with that, you have the option to assign categories, such as work, study, or finance, and to indicate priority levels: low, medium, or high. This helps you structure your backlog in a way that reflects the nature and urgency of the work. If you don't specify category, then bot will select category for you. I use this bot also for my personal life planning, and it is great to have it always in my phone. Let's check which tasks do I have now. I put in chat the following command: Single, could you show me my current tasks? You can see that by default, all tasks were assigned to work category. Let's update them in bulk. Single, update the categories of these tasks to more granular and meaningful ones: work, strategic, and administrative. Identify the right category for each task by yourself. And as you can see, all tasks were updated in bulk and categories were changed. That's how you can easily update your tasks in bulk. Just to let you know, the bot supports predefined list of categories. That is needed in order you to not come up with different name of categories each time. That would lead you to having thousands of categories that you don't remember. Keeping list of categories limited, we ensure that each item will fall under one of the categories provided and ensure transparent tracking and analytics. To check which categories are supported based on today, you can always ask chat, and it will provide you the list of categories supported at the moment. And this brings us to a practical strategy. How should you as a project manager or analyst decide on categories and priorities? A simple mapping can help. For discovery and analysis activities, it often makes sense to use categories like research or education. Delivery tasks, especially those tied to milestones or outputs, naturally belong under work. Meanwhile, items related to risks, issues, or compliance are better assigned to categories such as administrative, legal, or strategic. By choosing purposefully, you ensure that later, when you build charts or run queries, the structure of your data actually tells the story of your project. So what we see here is not only speed but also intelligence. With just a few words typed into chat, Single Secretary transforms your scattered ideas into well-organized, categorized, and prioritized tasks, giving you a living backlog that grows in step with your project's demands. Once we have created our tasks, the next natural step is to review them. Single Secretary gives us a clear way to look at our backlog, but it is important to understand how the system organizes and presents this information. By default, it focuses on the tasks that are still active, that is, those that are not marked as done or cancelled. This way, you immediately see what still requires your attention. To demonstrate this, let us try the most basic command in the chat: show my tasks. The bot will respond with a table of your not completed tasks. However, there is one important detail to notice. The system will only return no more than 10 items at a time, even if you have many more in your backlog. Along with those 10, it also tells you the total number of outstanding tasks. So you might see a note that says, for example, total tasks 47. At this point, the bot will politely ask, would you like to see the next page? And with a simple confirmation, you can move through your backlog step by step. This paging mechanism keeps the interface readable and prevents you from being overwhelmed by a huge wall of data all at once. So, as you keep working on tasks, you may update their statuses. For example, type in chat something like this: close the first task and cancel task number 5. Put task 2 in progress. So now you can test how different filters may be applied. You can use different combinations of filters to filter only those tasks that you are interested in. For example, show me tasks only from administrative and strategic categories that are not completed. This ensures you only see tasks that are still in progress, pending, or blocked. You can update due dates in a natural way. For example, change the due date of tasks 2 and 3 to tomorrow and set them to high priority. Postpone the due dates of tasks 5 and 6 by 1 month. Now imagine you want to focus only on urgent matters. In the similar way, you can request bot to return only top priority tasks with due this week. You could ask, give me high priority tasks due this week, and the system will apply both filters at once, combining them with a logical operator or perhaps you want to narrow the scope by ownership. I recommend you just to test it yourself to understand how it works, because you can have multiple tasks assigned on different people and ask chat to return you only tasks assigned on specific person. There is also a special kind of filter worth highlighting: date-based conditions. These are especially useful for managing deadlines. For overdue tasks, the bot can return them to you so you can focus on them. Finally, Single also supports sorting, which gives you control over the order in which tasks appear. For instance, you may want to sort by due date first and then by priority to make sure the most urgent items are at the top. In that case, you might enter sort all tasks by due date ascending, then by priority, and the bot will return the list in the exact order you need. What we see here is that the backlog is not just a long list of random items. With paging, filtering, and sorting, you can structure your view in a way that matches your current goals, whether that is preparing for a weekly status meeting, handling overdue items, or focusing on top priorities for the day. In this way, Single Secretary turns a chaotic collection of tasks into a clear, manageable set of action points. Once our backlog is properly organized, the next challenge is to decide what to focus on today. This is often the most stressful part of a project manager's or analyst's day. You open your to-do list, you see dozens of items, and the question is, where do I even begin? Single Secretary helps to solve this problem by generating daily recommendations based on deadlines and priorities. To see this in action, let us try the following command in the chat. What do you recommend me to do today? What happens next is that the bot looks at all of your not completed tasks, compares their due dates, checks their urgency, and then returns the top 10 items that deserve your immediate attention. This is essentially your personalized plan for the day. From there, you can quickly decide which item you want to start with. And just like that, your plan is no longer theoretical. It is already moving into execution. But not everything in our workday comes in through formal planning. Very often, new requests arrive suddenly, a quick note from a colleague, a short reminder from a meeting, or even an idea you jot down on the fly. These items do not belong in your inbox or on a sticky note. They need to be captured and turned into structured tasks. This is where Single supports what I like to call the inbox-to-plan micro-workflow. Imagine, for example, you're in a meeting and you suddenly think, I must follow up with the finance team on budget approval. Instead of leaving it loose in your head, you simply type in the chat, create a task, follow up with finance team on budget approval. The bot instantly converts this note into a formal task, assigns it to you, sets a due date for the following week, and even generates labels such as finance, approval, follow-up. This process takes only a few seconds, but it has a long-term benefit. The more consistently you phrase these ad hoc inputs, the better the system becomes at generating meaningful labels. And those labels later translate into more accurate charts and analytics, which means that your reporting and decision-making become sharper over time. So, in summary, executing a daily plan with Single Secretary is not just about checking boxes. It is about having a guided set of recommendations to start your day, while also having the agility to capture new items as they emerge. This combination of strategic focus and flexible capture is what allows you to stay on top of a dynamic workload without losing control. Earlier in our session, you already saw me perform some updates, for example, changing due dates or adjusting priorities. Now, however, I want to go one step further and show you other types of updates that are particularly interesting and useful when managing real project work. These are the updates that help you reflect the actual state of progress, capture blockers, and close the loop when tasks are finished. Let us begin with a common situation. A task is suddenly blocked because of something outside your control. In the chat, I might type, set task number 6 to blocked. Reason, waiting for approval. Immediately, the system updates the status and records the block reason. When you next view your task table, you will see a new column entry that clearly shows why this task cannot move forward. This is more than a cosmetic change. By recording the reason directly in the system, you build transparency. Anyone reviewing the backlog later can see not only that the task was blocked, but also the precise cause. This can be very helpful in escalation meetings or when tracking recurring bottlenecks. Now let us move on to the most satisfying type of update, completing work. Suppose you want to close out a task that have been finished. You could write, mark number 6 is done, completion date October 1st. Behind the scenes, the bot does something very important. It automatically assigns the completion date by storing today's year, month, and day. If you prefer, you can even specify a different date in free form, such as yesterday or last Friday, and the system will interpret it correctly. Later, when you ask to see your completed tasks, you will notice these dates attached to each item. This means you not only know what has been completed, but you also have historical records that can be used for retrospectives or performance reviews. In other words, you are not just closing tasks, you are creating an archive of progress, and you already saw during the demos that you can make bulk updates. So all examples that I've just showed you can be executed for bulk of tasks. So as you can see, updating tasks in Single Secretary is not just about changing data. It is about making your backlog a living reflection of reality, capturing when work is blocked, recording when it is completed, and adjusting priorities in bulk when the situation demands it. These capabilities ensure that your task list is always aligned with the actual state of your project, which is ultimately what makes it such a powerful tool for project managers and analysts. Up until now, we have been working with tasks at the level of individual items, creating them, updating them, and closing them. But projects are not managed only task by task. As managers and analysts, we also need to step back and see the bigger picture. This is where Single Secretary's ability to generate analytics becomes particularly valuable. Instead of exporting data into another tool, You can request analytics directly in the chat, giving you instant insights for reporting and decision making. Let us begin with the most straightforward example. Suppose you want to understand how your current backlog is distributed by urgency. In the chat, you would type, "Create a pie chart grouped by priority for not completed tasks." Behind the scenes, the system uses its data endpoint developed by me to group tasks and count them by their priority levels. Within a moment, you receive analytics that shows how many tasks are low, medium, or high priority. This is the kind of visualization you can immediately share with your team to discuss workload balance or to highlight the fact that, for example, too many high-priority items are still unresolved. Now let us move on to a slightly more analytical view, identifying trends over time. Imagine you want to track how many tasks in the work category were created month by month. In that case, you might type, "Create a column chart grouped by completion months for tasks in category administrative." The system will generate a timeline showing how your task creation has evolved. Perhaps you will notice that in one month there was a spike because of a new release, while another month was relatively quiet. We have fake data here, that's why we don't see too many tasks, but you can try yourself how it works for you and your project. This is where you can also use what are called having filters. For example, you might want to hide groups where the count is 0, so that your analytics does not clutter the axis with empty months. This type of analysis is especially useful during sprint reviews or monthly project check-ins, when you want to reflect not only on what has been done, but also on how the workload is evolving. In sum, Analytics module transforms your backlog from a static list into a dynamic story about your project. They help you balance priorities, observe trends over time, and detect risks before they become crises. And the most powerful part is that all of this can be done within the same single chat window, without ever leaving the tool. One of the realities of today's professional environment is that teams are rarely limited to a single language. Project managers, program managers, and analysts often work with stakeholders across several countries, and the ability to communicate in a familiar language can make collaboration smoother and more inclusive. Single Secretary addresses this challenge with built-in multilingual support, which allows the bot to instantly switch to the user's preferred language without disrupting the underlying data model. Let me show you how this works in practice. Suppose you are working in English and your colleague prefers Spanish. You can simply type in the chat, "Change language to Spanish." Immediately, the bot switches its responses into Spanish, translating all the task management actions, the menus, the confirmations, the queries, into that language. However, behind the scenes, the structure of the data remains the same. Tasks still carry their categories, due dates, and labels in a consistent format. This means that whether you enter "Create a task," "Prepare stakeholder brief" in English, or the same command in Spanish, the system records it uniformly and integrates it into the same project backlog. To illustrate the flexibility, you could just as easily switch back by typing "Change language to English," and once again, all interactions flow in English, but nothing has been lost or corrupted in translation. The data model stays stable, which is crucial when you later want to generate analytics or export summaries. Charts and tables are built on the same consistent fields, regardless of which language was used to create the tasks. This feature may seem small, but in a multinational project it is transformative. It allows each team member to interact with the system in their native tongue, while still keeping a unified and coherent database of tasks. In other words, Single Secretary does not just support multilingual communication. It ensures that diversity of language does not become a barrier to coordination or reporting. As we move towards the final part of our session, it is time to address an often overlooked but very important topic: safety and governance. In task management, the way you handle data has long-term consequences. Single secretary is built with safeguards to make sure you do not accidentally lose critical information. And this is especially important when we talk about deletions. Let us consider the first case. Suppose you decide that you no longer need a group of tasks. In the chat you might type, "I want to delete tasks from ED1 up to 4. At this point, the bot does not simply erase them right away. Instead, it will pause and ask you to confirm your intention. More importantly, it will also suggest safer alternatives, for example, marking the tasks as cancelled or done. Why is this better? Because cancelled or completed tasks remain in the history of your project. You can still review them later, analyze their completion dates, or use them in charts for retrospectives. By contrast, deletion is irreversible. Once the tasks are removed, they are gone forever, along with any history attached to them. Only if you confirm explicitly will the system proceed with deletion. This double-check mechanism prevents accidental data loss and ensures that you think carefully before removing information from your backlog. Now, let us take governance to an even higher level. Imagine that a user wants to delete their entire account. The process here is even stricter. The bot will issue a clear warning reminding you that deletion does not apply only to single secretary, but to all connected single applications, including shopping pile, social guru, accountant, and others. In other words, your account and all associated data across the entire ecosystem will be permanently removed. After this action, the only operations available in that chat are logging in again with an existing account or creating a completely new one. Let me remove this demo account. Remove the current account. And if you will try to log in with your credentials, you will receive error. Account doesn't exist. I will open a new chat window to show you this. Let me try to enter login command. Login command, and then I enter my login and password. This safeguard is not only a technical feature, but also a matter of accountability. It ensures that users understand the impact of their decisions, and it protects both personal data and organizational workflows from being lost unintentionally. That's all what I plan to discuss with you in this lesson. Let's recap what we've learned today. We discovered what single secretary AI bot is and why custom GPTs can serve as powerful personal assistants. We explored the chatbot interface, account creation, and login flow to securely access our workspace. We practiced creating tasks in seconds using smart defaults, and we learned how to read and filter backlogs effectively. We saw how to execute a daily plan with recommendations and how to capture ad hoc notes into structured tasks. We updated tasks to reflect real progress, handled blockers, and closed the loop by completing work with proper history. We generated analytics and charts to review trends, priorities, and risks, and we tested multilingual support for diverse teams. Finally, we addressed safety and governance, reviewing safer alternatives to deletion and understanding account removal. That's all for this lesson. Thank you so much for your attention. Have a great day and see you in the next lesson.